What's up YouTube, this is Bystander X39 guys. Today I'm coming to you with my latest deck profile video for April 2021, and today guys we're going to be looking at my Dark World deck. Now Dark World is one of my favorite GX era archetypes. Love the whole concept of being able to discard your cards via card effects to get other effects that can do things to your opponent's field, net you pluses, search out the necessary cards. It just works insanely well. And then we get dangers mixed into the matter, and it just takes the deck to a higher level because all the dangers are essentially walking upstart goblins, and they also have discard effects, just allowing you to further interfere with your opponent. And with the way this deck is built, it does use danger monsters, but I more focused on the Dark Worlds primarily because I was researching different things I can do with the deck, and I kind of stumbled across a particular lock situation that you can utilize with Ceruli and one particular trap card that I have in this deck. And just being able to stick your opponent with Ceruli via its effect, it works insanely well, allowing you to build your field at your leisure and then pop your opponent's board when you're ready to go into their life points and just take them down. So, without further ado, we're going to jump right into this. Alright, starting of course with Grapha the Dark Dragon of... Oh, the Dragon Lord of Dark World, excuse me. Grapha has this awesome ability while in the graveyard, and if you control a Dark World monster, you can bounce it back to your hand, special summon Grapha right from the field, or right to the field from the graveyard, which is awesome, so you don't have to waste recovery cards like Monster Reborn on it. When it's discarded by your card effect, you can target one card on the field, destroy it, and if it's discarded by your opponent's card effect, you get to randomly look at one card in your opponent's hand, and if it's a monster, you get to basically special summon to your side of the field. So you're stealing their resources from them and giving yourself even more resources as well. Next up, we got 3 copies of Snow, the Unlight of Dark World. Snow, whenever it's discarded, you're getting the search. Very awesome. Get the search you for any Dark World card, monster, spell, or trap. If it's discarded by your opponent's card effect, you get to take a monster from their graveyard and special summon it to your field again, giving you more resources and denying your opponent those resources. Next up, we have 2 copies of Beige, the Vanguard of Dark World. Beige is very awesome. Whenever it's discarded, doesn't matter by whose effect, it's always going to special summon itself back to the field, which is just awesome. It plays into Grapha's effect, allowing you to have a card on the field, easily get a card on the field to bounce back to your hand. And in case you need to use normal summon, you can just normal summon it since it's a level 4. Next up, we got 3 copies of Brow, the Huntsman of Dark World. When this card is discarded by your card effect, you're drawing a card. If it's discarded by your opponent's card effect, you're drawing 2 cards. So this guy helps give you some extra consistency, and overall, just a great way to get deeper into your deck really fast. Last but not least, we've won 3 copies of Ceruli, Guru of Dark World. This right here is just an amazing card. Whenever this card is discarded by a card effect, whether it be yours or your opponent's, and it's sent to the graveyard, you get to special summon it to your opponent's side of the field. And that does it by its own effect. And whenever it's special summoned to the field by a Dark World effect like its own, it triggers its effect, which forces the controlling player's opponent to discard a card from the hand. In this particular case, you discard this card from your hand to your graveyard, it special summons itself to the opponent's field, you are discarding a card from your hand, which allows you to basically get more drawers, more searches. You get the idea. It just does a lot for you. Add in that trap card I mentioned, and you can lock your opponent into Fiend only, and that right there can just end duels in itself. Alright. For dangers, Danger Bigfoot. Alright. Like I said before, all the dangers are essentially walking upstart goblins, and they all have discard effects. When Bigfoot is discarded from your hand, you target one face-up card on your opponent's field and destroy it, which is awesome. You can target any card as long as it's face-up. In hindsight, we also are running 2 copies of Danger Thunderbird. Thunderbird is kind of basically does the same thing as Bigfoot, except for set cards. Any set cards your opponent has in the field, it destroys them. Last but not least, for the Dangers, we are running 3 copies of Danger Chupacabra. Its discard effect is in R-type Monster Reborn for other Dangers, so you can get big biting monsters onto the board and swing into your opponent. But more importantly, I'm running it because it is a Fiend-type monster, and it just synergizes so well with the rest of the Dark Worlds, allowing you to give you an extra Fiend in the graveyard, so you can utilize the Gates of Dark World more so its ability. So, very good. That's it for the monsters. For the spells, 1 copy of Card Destruction. Best card in this deck. Both players discard their hands and draw a same number of cards from their deck. 3 copies of Dark World Dealings. Both players draw a card and they discard a card. Very good to help you set off other Dark World effects, or even some danger effects if you need it. And this is a card that I really like to have in this deck. 3 copies to drive down to the graveyard. Yes, both players can get a look at what they have in each other's hand, but ultimately you're able to see if your opponent has hand traps or other problematic cards that could be detrimental to your play, and you can just get rid of them. So yeah, definitely an awesome card. And your opponent, if you leave yourself with a monster, is basically going to be forced to pick a poison there. Foolish Burial that helps set up Grapha really fast. Monster Reborn takes any monster back from the graveyard, gets it onto your field. 3 copies of the Gates of Dark World. Power boosts all Fiend-type monsters by 300 attack. And then you can target a Fiend in the graveyard, banish it, and then discard a Fiend to draw a card. And if you happen to be discarding, maybe you have Snow or a Brow, you're going to be drawing or searching a lot more cards. So definitely worth having. And the last spell we run 3 copies of Trade-in. There are a total of 8 level 8s, so a Trade-in does come up a lot often, and since all the level 8s do have a discard effect, you get to get those effects going, as well as dig deeper into your deck. For the traps, 3 copies of Dark Smog. Target a monster in your opponent's graveyard. Discard a Fiend monster from your hand to banish that card, so it messes around with your opponent's graveyard. And there are a lot of graveyard decks that are graveyard dependent, and with the graveyards acting as a second hand, so this card can just disrupt plays and shut your opponent down. And last but not least, we have 3 copies of Rivalry of the Warlord. This is the trap card that I pair with Cerulei. Since Cerulei is so easily able to be ditched into your graveyard and get into your opponent's field, setting that lockup is just insane. Your opponent cannot special summon or summon anything unless it's Fiends, and they can't link summon with Cerulei because Link Verbose Cyberse. The only generic Link 1 is Nightmare Mermaid, and that's banned. So you can see what I mean. Just by sticking Cerulei with Rivalry of the Warlords, you can hold your opponent down until you're ready to pound their life points. That's it for the main deck. On to the extra, we have a couple of Fiend Xyz monsters. Evil Swarm, Exciton Knight. If your opponent controls more cards on the field in their hand than you do, you get to basically blow the field. Number 60, Dugaris the Timeless. Very awesome card. By giving up various phases of your following turn, you get various effects. You give up your next draw phase, you get to draw 2 cards. You give it in the next main phase, you get to special summon a monster from your graveyard in defense position. Great for extending. Or if you give up your next battle phase, your next turn's battle phase, excuse me, you can target one of the monsters you control and double that monster's attack, and that can actually help you win games by swinging big. Of course, we also have other cards like Babushka, that's just for stall purposes. You have a Bistwell, which can shut down any graveyard-based effects, which is huge against the meta. For some rank 8s, Zamistein, walking 4,500 attack point body, plus on the gate. Yeah. Number 38, the Hope Harbinger of Titanic Galaxy. Basically, the Spell Slurping Dragon. And I do run a small Galaxy Eyes package. A Cypher Dragon can swipe one of your opponent's monsters. And Photon Dragon can actually give you an additional pop. It also ends on a 4K body, so not a bad thing if you want to swing. Moving forward, Wee Witch's Apprentice. Power boosts all your Dark Attribute monsters by 500, and whenever it's popped, you get a Dark Attribute monster from your graveyard back to your hand, which is awesome. IP Masquerena, just a great generic Link 2. And very useful for link climbing during your opponent's turn. And then I do run the Nightmare package. I've run 3 copies because they're all Fiends. Unicorn to spin cards back to your opponent's deck. Cerberus to go after special summon monsters. Nightmare Phoenix to go after back row. They all have discard effects, which is feeds into your danger cards, which can help you pop or remove additional cards off your opponent's field. So definitely it's worth running all 3 of those cards. And we have a couple of Link 4s. I'm running Saruja and Borreload. Saruja, very easily in this deck to get into the 4-name effect, which allows you to basically draw 4 cards and then send the same number of cards back to the bottom of your deck. You also get that extra special summon from your hand, and it power boosts any monsters that it points to, which is awesome. Borreload is in there primarily to swipe monsters from your opponent as well as weaken them, so it just makes sense to throw it in there because I'm feeling the Borreload here and loving to bust up boards and use my opponent's resources against him. That's just me. If you don't want Borreload in this deck, Boral Sword will also work in its place to be able to go for the OTKs. Alright, guys, that is it for my Dark World deck for the April 2021. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this on my channel, make sure to subscribe, enable notifications so you don't miss any uploads. Check out the description box below. Find the invite link to my Discord server. Join the conversation. We'd love to have you. Check out my affiliates, TCGplayer.com as well as SideDeckVersus.com. Great resources for any Yu-Gi-Oh player. Follow me on social media. And as always, guys, until next time, peace.